Hey, I'm Christa.
Hey, I'm Micah.
Welcome to Bad People.
With good stories.
This is a podcast that seeks to challenge black and white thinking
by exploring the gray.
Welcome to Bad People podcast. It's been a little while. I'm Micah.
Hey, I'm Christa.
And we are back today to sort of do a little recap on our season 2, which has been very spread out, but it's been good because we've had a lot of amazing conversations with people. And we kind of just wanted to, recap a little on those guests and conversations we did have.
Yes.
And then just, I don't know, like shoot the breeze a little bit about some of the things that stuck with us and themes that kind of came up for us in the conversations we had. We'll go from there.
Yeah, it's funny because we were just reflecting on the fact that we started this season in like late summer, early fall of 2024.
Yeah.
And
with our first guest, Nat.
Yes. Yeah. And us talking about like where we were. Remember that first episode was like, where are we now? And yeah, funny enough, like even just where we are professionally or even personally, part of the reason why we've had such a delay in releasing episodes was because although we talk about, big topics here, I would say personally, we've had a lot of stuff going on. I think I've kind of like alluded to that a little bit, but yes, you would say, right? You could witness. I mean, you've been a witness of things that have gone on in my life, and they've been, it's been interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
To say the least.
Yes. And so trying to figure out how to navigate, big things in our own lives and going like, I know for you, I think we've mentioned before that Micah is doing, you're doing, what kind of study are you doing?
Studying, yeah. So I started studying at the end of last year in September, and I'm doing an associate arts degree with a focus on women's studies, women, gender and sexualities, I think. Or it's the other way around, gender, sexualities and women's studies.
Yeah.
But either way, it's kind of, you could sum it up with saying gender studies. And I'm in the end of my second semester, so still very like fresh everything.
Yeah.
But I've loved it and I've like learned so much, and
it's funny because I remember some of the first your first classes, I think you were having like affirmations on females that were podcasting, and even the ideas about like what makes things like off topic or off, like you can't talk about them like with bad ideas, or like how women are sort of placed in boxes or things like that. I'll never forget those first, like some of the slides. You remember that in some of the first courses?
I just send you little things, right? I can't remember that. I've sent you so many.
I know. It's been fun to see like what you're learning and how applicable it is even to this podcast, and kind of that you had already forged a path for yourself in the way you were thinking and wanting to approach the world. That was like, you even had to produce a podcast, I think, for one of your classes.
Yeah. So that was one of the little sort of, what do you call those? Like,
assignments?
No. Yeah. Well, just like there's a word for it where it's not it's like when some people would say that it's like God aligning stuff, and other people would frame it
like
as
synchronicity,
kind of?
Yes,
a synchronicity.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of those early on was in my first semester for one of our assignments. I actually had to make a podcast, and so that was just like hilarious to me since we had made this, and I got some more insight doing that assignment on like making a podcast, and I did a number of assignments just like as a solo podcast thing.
And the importance of using your voice as a female too was really sort of paramount in what you were learning, I think.
Yeah, just my instructor was kind of big on the fact that podcasting can be such a great like feminist practice for women. And one of the things from that semester as well that really just sort of was another little synchronicity, like nod to our endeavor here, was just we read a lot of like famous passages and texts from a lot of like feminist discourse, and one of those feminists was Roxane Gay, and she has like a bad feminist manifesto, which kind of goes over the way that she wants to be a feminist and believes like entirely in women and championing women, but how she just feels like she's sort of a bad feminist because she doesn't fit into all the typical feminist like boxes. And so it's been cool because everywhere throughout my studies, I think I'm just constantly encountering the ways we like to sort of make things nice and simple and digestible and easy to follow and palatable, and how consistently things just get complex and there's gray and there's questions, and like, for me, life is kind of right now a constant encountering of that, like the ways that there's nuance and there's complexity and everything, and yet we're just constantly always trying to like simplify or streamline or like I don't know.
I feel like that leans into because I used to be an interior designer, and now I'm doing like a pretty massive change in direction professionally and attempting to get into law enforcement, and a big shift, like something pretty massive happened in our family that like really shook me to my core and really made me question sort of where I put my trust when something really bad happens, and just how much like how helpless people can be when they're victims of anything that's gone on in their life. You really sort of, sometimes you turn to friends and family, and then, in the past I would have turned to the church. And when there is no help found in those spaces, then you, have to invoke law enforcement.
Yeah.
And then seeing how that plays out and how vulnerable like people can be in those spaces too, when victims speak out, and that life doesn't get easier for people. No. It actually gets a hell of a lot harder. Yeah. And just how costly truth can be. It's funny because like, as you're saying, like you're studying and, using your voice as a feminist and all this, like it's costly to, for one, study something like you're studying, or to, even for us, I think even like trying to speak up about different issues, it's kind of been hard on relationships, or even costs time, it costs, energy. Yeah. But just how important that is, and how there's a lot of nuance there. Right. And it's, it's just, again, I feel like, as I've sort of navigated a lot of like challenging moments, I wanted to be, a part of, I guess, something that stood in the gap for people that are facing these things and having gone through a lot of stuff that, again, I have to be so vague because I don't really feel like talking about it publicly, but just trying to understand and go, like, for people that have been victimized to be on the other side of that as law enforcement, to go like, I see you, your story matters. It's complex with how justice actually is invoked, and how consequences sort of get doled out or whatever, and it usually takes a lot of time, but going like, I think that's where I want to spend my energy and my time, which is exciting and tons of learning, and it's such a huge process. It's like, I mean, you've seen the different things, but it's really fun, I think, for the two of us to kind of like be in this new phase of life together. And funny, we were talking about the first time that we had coffee and decided to podcast, and the evolution of our friendship, and not both of us not knowing the risks that we would take to sort of pursue what we feel is like the right way that we want to live. And seeing that, again, like a through line for us is justice really seems to matter a ton. Again, what you were just saying about nuance.
Yeah, social justice.
Social justice, truth. I mean, we were saying that just now, but creating spaces of safety and community and care for people while dealing with the realities of life, which can be really uncomfortable for people, right? I think we're talking about everybody kind of wants things to fit in boxes, right? And when they don't, then what do you do? When life gets hard. So totally. And that was the great thing about our guests. I think we wanted to really reflect on. We had 6 different guests this past season, and it was amazing. I think a huge thing today that we'll talk about is bravery in the context of like complexity or circumstances that are challenging.
And just like the hard work and deep work, I guess, that is required to sort of like, I don't know, stay true to who you are and are discovering yourself to be. Yes. Because it's often way easier to just, I don't know, conform or people please and live in a way that is peaceable maybe, but not necessarily true to actually who you are and
totally
who you want to be.
Yeah, like the difference between being a peacekeeper and a peacemaker always was profound to me. That's I remember you even saying, I think in one of the first episodes of this season, going like, what's easy for other people to or how you come off to them. Like a lot of times they want to sort of control or police like how you're coming across to them because it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And where we're like, no, like that's not going to dictate how we move through life. Like part of, I mean, we were just talking about Buddhism. Like one of the things that we like about that practice is the idea that suffering is very much a part of life and that you embrace it and lean into it and expect it. And sometimes evangelical Christianity or in the West, we're kind of like how to alleviate pain and numb it and escape it and pray it away. And if something bad does happen, well, then it's from Satan or then you did something bad to cause these things instead of going like, oh, this is a natural part of life. So and again, all of our guests kind of engaged with their own suffering. Right.
Which is kind of, the theme of like bravery and being true to yourself. Like I think that really was evident in it was a theme for sure in a lot of the conversations we had, like with Nat, our first guest, and just dealing with like complete unexpected tragedy. And then what do you do in the aftermath of that when you're a single mom and you're still kind of, in your prime years, but what do you do? And she was so brave in sort of like being up for sharing her story because it is still very raw in a way. And she was, she just was really brave in being up for us asking very personal questions. Personal probing sort of questions in order to sort of just open up the doors a little on that kind of experience, her experience. And
that's the thing, like we like
others in.
Yeah, we like to generalize and go like, okay, this is Nat's experience, so it must be everybody's experience if they're finding themselves a widower. But like, again, hers just happened to be this way, and she decided to show up in bravery for her specifically to like, again, like the dating thing and the, trying to navigate, being a single mother to 3, like relatively. I mean, one of them was really little at the time.
Still under 1.
Yeah. And then going like, I think she'd be fine with us updating people, but that she's expanded her family and like has a wonderful man in her life. And the fact that she, so cool. That she risked being vulnerable and trying to pursue the thing that she knew that she needed in her life. A lot of people, I think, she shared that people had expectations of her or that things should have looked a certain way. And that she decided to pursue what she knew was best for herself and her children. So again, that's super courageous as a female, especially.
Totally. To go out, you on your own and sort of like stand for what you know is what you want and how you want to live.
Need too, right? Like to have a partner and to dream new dreams. And I mean, she had such a profound love with her first husband. Like, then to think like, oh, could I ever have that again? Like she just expressed all of that vulnerability with us, which was beautiful and gave us like a small glimpse into possibly what those things would be if that happened, I guess. And how to process grief and and
I guess it was cool because I had sort of met her within the last couple years. We had been friends for a few years by the time she was on our podcast.
That's right.
And so I've been sort of privy firsthand as a friend to just like what life is like on your own, trying to like raise 3 kids and do it well, and the balance of trying to think of their needs and also your own needs, and like just the tightrope you sort of have to walk. And then
totally.
So it was cool that she allowed us to sort of have a little inside look into her world.
Totally. And then we had your lovely friend from down under.
That's right. And then we had Sam. And that was really cool. That was a really great conversation. And I think Sam was initially a little like unsure as well, with just like, what is the title of your podcast
going on? Bad people?
Am I going to be, how am I going to, what am I signing up to here? And he was like generously really open to even just he showed curiosity and like, well, what does that mean? Like, what can you explain it to me a little more? And so once I kind of gave him a bit of the context of our title and why we chose that, he was he was really keen to come on, and that was a really cool conversation, just touching on a bit more of my like personal story. That for me was a really meaningful conversation, because Sam was someone that we did kind of ministry alongside back in Australia, and he stayed at Hillsong Church after we left, and then eventually left as well to do his own spiritual directing thing. So that's kind of still what he's doing. And you even did a little bit of a
I did. I thought it was, I mean, just another plug for anybody that's finding themselves possibly even leaving church, or just even with questions. I love that his philosophy is sort of like tending to the soul, and he deals or reads a lot of like Richard Rohr, and lots of beautiful sort of concepts on, you know, maybe the fuller, I don't want to say that, but maybe a more full picture, I guess, of what and who God could possibly be, like.
He takes a bit more of a like mystic approach, I think, than anything more sort of like of the traditional
evangelical,
doctrinal, which I think is really cool for a lot of people, actually sort of deconstructing to have that space where God is less defined by these sort of like strict, neat little theologies, and it's more of a like, we can explore this.
And like where the Bible is maybe dealt with in like this is like a divinely, which I think everybody would sort of say like it's divinely inspired, but that it's not such like a hard and fast like textbook of sorts where you can like know God concretely. It's which I again appreciated, that it didn't feel so rigid or as rigid. So I am definitely, if anybody's interested, you should go and chat with Sam.
Grant's done some things with him too, and he really loved it. Got so much out of it, just like providing, kind of like an in between where you're not really, maybe you're just like organized religion isn't for me anymore, or church is like, I'm done with that. But you still kind of have a need to sort of like, I don't know, talk about deeper things and
the spiritual longing.
Right.
Totally.
And that's like, that doesn't necessarily just disappear. For some it does, but I think if you are in that space where you still kind of have, it's a really spiritual directing, and what Sam does is a really great little thing that could potentially fill that space.
And it's I think I mean, maybe you said this, but like I feel brave that he's gone out sort of more on his own and sort of, you know, addressing some of the issues, was able to look at perhaps some of the ways that Hillsong was an unhealthy place for him or people in general. And
just
not
unsustainable.
Totally. And the fact that he didn't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Totally,
that he didn't have to lose his faith or religion over that. Whereas I would say sometimes like I look at myself and I'm like, I was unable to do that. And I think it's actually really healing to see that that's possible for some people.
Right.
I would say probably think the same, right? Where you're like, it's neat to see somebody that's found like a nice middle ground.
Totally. Yeah. I'm 100% secure in like my own standpoint and why I'm where I am. And I know it's completely valid, and there's like so many other people in the same boat.
Yes, that is helpful.
But I'm not, that doesn't mean I'm like against religion. I think it has some beautiful things that it can offer people.
For sure.
But it sometimes can be hard to get that without some harm in there.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of harm sometimes.
Yes.
And
getting out unscathed kind of idea. But then again, it's a journey. And I always... you don't know. We're still only halfway through our journey, right?
Totally.
So who knows? But, and then we had Shannon come on, who again, her episode was called like, I think it was Light the Torch, right?
Yeah.
Which again, just is like bravery in itself. Like
right.
I love that. She kind of from the get-go at a young age always sort of knew something was up, like had a very strong gut intuition, and has leaned into working with that and helping other people find healing because of kind of who she is as a person. She was so candid. That conversation was amazing. Had so much insight on, just, I guess, family dynamics and systems that, I guess specifically Christian systems that she felt separated, like her like embodying that full embodiment of self, and the distrust of her own self, and how she kind of like combated that, I guess.
Totally. I loved how she was just kind of really honest about questions she had that never felt adequately answered in church, and then how those started to become more prominent to the and then how she just chose to sort of follow those, I guess, those niggling things, and she kind of, we touched a bit on spiritual trauma and stuff with her podcast, and I think it was great. But that was a great conversation. It was so real and just well, and she's a great person too.
Yeah, she is. She's like so full of life. And again, Modern Hustle on Instagram is her handle, and she's a big advocate for plant medicine and sort of a pioneer in kind of trying to figure out what that looks like for people and how to do that in safe ways. I know for myself, I always like to kind of like I found that one experience with like a psychedelic to be transformative. And yet I think that there should be a lot of reservation around, creating spaces that do this in safe ways where, like addiction or dependency on substance can be a real issue for some folk. And so to make sure that there's regulation around this stuff is really important.
100%.
That's why, there's a lot of great therapists too that do ketamine therapy.
It seems to be more embraced. I know in certain parts of the States, like that kind of treatment is legal, and I think maybe here, but it's interesting. There's mixed views on it, but I think
it's good to do your own research, right?
And do so in conversation with like maybe not, I don't know, healthcare professionals will have their opinions, but I think it is good to just discuss with them, because people can react in many different ways to different things, so it's good to totally, like you were saying, safeguards need to be
and again, like we keep talking about the need for community and care, and but having that be like a place of like safety for people. And so if just, I know that's something Shannon cares deeply about, and is trying to continue to help people find
to facilitate that.
It's pretty neat.
She also does cacao, like sells cacao, which is awesome.
It's pretty cool.
And
then we had DJ, who was, for me, he's like, again, we keep saying Mr. Bravery himself. I think one thing that really struck me in his story, or just him in general, is that, and maybe all of our guests, but that nobody sort of has claimed the victimhood of whatever has happened in their life. Like they haven't stayed in that sort of narrative that has kept them stuck. They've figured out ways to, I guess, this is a funny way of saying it, but metabolize that to sort of like work through it and create
like integrate it.
Create something new out of that. And I mean, DJ having, a lot of challenging things go on for him in his like most formative years. And I know for myself, I relate where I often am like, oh man, I feel like my legs were sort of cut off at a certain point where I always feel like, a couple of feet shorter than most. And although I think I present like that, that's definitely a feeling that I have. And I think
how you felt.
And I think for him, probably the same. And yet he's, like the music that he creates and all of that is really cool.
I mean, I feel like he was just another person where feels like you just get honesty, right?
Very much. and not really afraid of like how it comes off.
And it was just cool to have like some discussion around creativity and songwriting and like his process for making music and how he integrated like trauma and the heaviness of that into making an album, but also how he's kind of doesn't regret in some ways that he did that, and just, I don't know.
Or just is able to reflect on it going like, I now have more knowing. And that was really challenging to put myself on display like that, which I thought, that's, what did somebody put the other day? Like try. And when you like, when you succeed at something, that's like triumphal, but when you fail, then you gain like wisdom or whatever.
Right.
Like and that's just what it seemed like for him, is that if anything has failed in his life, he's just grown and learned from it. And
Right.
one of the things I really liked, because it was kind of an awkward moment when he was, laughing about some inappropriate things or just being like, like that. And the way we were like, oh, that's kind of rude. And then like right away, like he kind of, not because he was trying to conform or fit in, but he was self-reflective and was like, oh, maybe that was a little rude, instead of like, I don't know. I didn't find him to be defensive. I found him to be like, again, curious,
Right.
really thoughtful about his perspectives.
Yeah.
I think the thing that continually floats in my head is like the idea that we've created God in our own image, like that sort of idea. What's the thing? Because you've referenced some things that he said too.
Yeah, we had that was just a really fun conversation to me, because we had some great conversation just about like God and conceptions of God and faith and like church and
the spectrum thing, right?
Right.
For you.
Yeah. He had mentioned something that stuck with me from that conversation and still does was DJ had mentioned like that faith is kind of like a spectrum, and if you're all the way to believing, that would be weird. And I was that just struck me, because I think there's some traditions of Christianity that don't think that's weird and that actually encourage full sort of blind faith and trust in just the infallible nature of the Bible. And so when he said that, I was just grateful that he was honest about his perspective, because I have come to sense, like, in between leaving Australia and being here, I've come to agree with that perspective that, it's a bit cultish on the one end if it's all the way to it can be
the cults,
but I just appreciated his honesty and also not like, I think I find it really attractive when people are sort of not like always having to have some sort of formula or some sort of solution to something. They're just open to discuss and not have to have answers and like discuss questions, discuss gray areas without having to like, I don't know, provide an answer.
Right.
And
well, and like that,
I felt that in that conversation.
There was a lot of like, critical thinking going on, which is like one of your, I mean, that's literally a class that you've most enjoyed, I think, right? Like this idea, like, right, we have to kind of analyze and think through everything. And again, not that you could literally like, I mean, part of that class, wasn't it debating different
topics that are controversial. Yeah. Totally. And again, that's not the whole goal of that class, is not to like have answers. Totally. It's to how to think, like, and analyze arguments people make.
And have conversations and kind of like consider different perspectives.
Yeah. And I think a lot of maybe what might not be so like commonly understood is that critical thinking falls under the philosophy umbrella. Right. So like I had never realized that, but when I did, I was like, that makes so much sense to me, that's part of it's a criteria. Yeah. It's like it's a what do you call it? Words are failing me, but it's under the philosophy umbrella, that's which cool. is,
that's good to know.
I've always felt a bit like a philosophical person, so
that tracks. I love it.
And then who did we have after DJ? We had
your husband,
Grant.
Come on.
We had Grant, which was pretty fun to have him on here, just like talking about business, and we got to be a bit more like open about, or just talk, I guess, in public about marriage and family and just like running a business and like doing something as a career that you're kind of passionate about, and our, I guess, deconstruction sort of side by side, and how that's looked for us and stuff. And that was great.
I loved that conversation. I thought it showed again, just what a full picture of masculinity. I love what you shared recently about how feminine qualities don't need to be associated with like, emotion or whatever, like, but that the fullness of any gender or whatever can be all emotions and
Yeah.
all, and that's for me, like,
It's just human.
yeah. And that he sort of is trying to envision like a new way forward, I thought was really cool. And like that to me again speaks, to the bravery piece.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not always super popular for a male to come on and say something that's like opposite than maybe like the manosphere way of being. Yeah. So that's cool. And I have to say, like this morning I was even talking about your relationship and how much for me, seeing how honest you guys are with each other is huge. Like Micah's like, and Grant probably have both like risked, like maybe possibly like offending each other and sharing things that like might make the other person feel like, oh, am I stable in this relationship? Could this alter like the course of like the future of our relationship?
Yeah.
And you guys seem to just go like, well, we'll tackle that when it comes, but it has nothing to do with hiding things from each other. And like you are fully able to be honest with each other, which is beautiful. Like,
Thank you. That's kind. I was going to say there's many things I could say about this lady right here as well.
No. Well, I'm not partnered with anybody.
For one, like, just finishing the, like deciding that you wanted to do policing and then just like going for that, taking the bull by the horns and like, your determination and, courage and just like pursuing something you feel in your gut to be like the thing you want to do and pursue, like despite whatever everyone around you kind of thinks, whether it's a good idea or not, like but just going for it. And like she has trained hard to get
that it
to
so
this place
friggin' long.
and I don't know, that's something I am inspired by constantly.
Well, again, like I think that we kind of can draw power and purpose from like, again, the people that we surround ourselves with. And I mean, we recently had an Easter dinner where it was just really great to reflect on the fact that it was a really safe place. I think anybody could come into that space and feel accepted and possibly even loved right out of the gate.
I hope so.
Yeah. And that again, the baseline is just show up as you are, like no pretense. Like we all kind of know a lot about each other's lives and we're willing again to stand in the gap for each other, to encourage each other, to it's funny because it's not in that same way where you're like holding others accountable and like calling things out in each other, but it's like a very gentle I feel like even just reminder of who each of us are and why we're all so uniquely important in the group.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the people actually that always shows up obviously your husband too, but also Hannah, who was our last guest this season. Who continues to be, really inspirational. I mean, goodness. Not only, she's running a marathon in a couple weeks, which we'll go and watch. So her distance, any marathon runners out there, I'm always so impressed.
Respect.
I know, it's amazing. But just even for me, that episode mattered because although we deeply care about issues of racism and attempting to be like an anti-racist person, it is something that Hannah, in this case, would care more about because it affects her more greatly than it affects us. However, I would also then say we are all connected to each other. So
right, and I think she just read some things in the last
1,000%.
She's educated herself on that topic.
Yes, and I remember us having coffee with her and going like, "Hey, would you consider being on this podcast?" Knowing that, we talk about deconstruction and she cares deeply about the church. Or we, obviously there's different issues that come up, and would she risk being associated with two bad people and maybe what that would mean for her, and seeing that she's like, no, I have an opportunity to use my voice and to speak up and to talk about an issue that for a lot of people would be really unpopular. There's lots of people that would say like,
it's not a thing.
It's not a thing, right? This is Canada, or that's that's an American problem.
Yeah,
or
we're past that now.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
and to take the time for one that she was willing to share, and I love that it got us to exercise the power, hopefully, of listening.
Yeah.
And hopefully for our listeners also to remind, like that other people's stories matter. Obviously that's something we advocate for. So yeah, I thought that was, she's brilliant. I mean, everybody's feedback was like, dang, Hannah's so eloquent.
Yes, very.
Yeah.
And she had some great book recommendations too, which was cool.
Which one were you reading again?
Well, I was going to, I think it was White Women.
Yes, that's right.
But when I was trying to look that up, it wasn't available. And I ended up getting another one called Dear White Women,
cool.
which was actually really great. I'm still not done it.
Yeah.
I had it on Audible, so I was listening to it in the car and stuff, and I still haven't finished it. But from what I did listen to, it was great.
Yes.
It was. It's really well done. It kind of makes it really easy to. It's quite an easy to digest book.
Yeah.
And makes concepts and long histories of inequalities.
Yeah.
Points them out in a really great. Easy to understand way.
Right.
That's like, oh yeah, this is
actually
a problem.
What it is. Yes,
there is inequality, and yes, things are structured based on class, race, lots of things like that. Yes. So I definitely, there's always more books
to
read than time.
I know, and Micah's always so great. I was encouraging her. I'm like, she showed me another book today about free speech, and right.
But I don't know if I'm so great. This is something that I want to well, you're very kind with your words, but I do feel like, yes, I read a lot and I listen to things a lot, but I'm also I think I share too much about what I'm reading with you. I inundate Christa with things where I'm sometimes okay, I could slow down on that a little.
But all the things that you share and that I engage with, sure, I can't engage with all of them.
Yeah.
And likewise, I know she shares stuff on bad people's
it's just kind of a habit that's developed with our podcasting.
It's great because I do think that every time I go for it and I take the recommendation, I learn something, my mind, it's expanded. It gets me out of maybe the micro level of my own problems, because that's so empowering to go yes, I have this one thing going on, but wait, so does the next person, right? And it gets you out of thinking, I guess, just about yourself all the time, which is brilliant. We all need the reminder to do that because we all need each other. We're all connected. I mean, if there's any idea of God that I would say that I connect to, is it that God is within you and within me, and that we need to, just stand in the gaps for each other, and that we belong to each other.
Right. So. And discovering your own sort of power in a way. Right? Yeah. Yes. We had talked a little bit about one theme maybe that was common between all of our guests was just sort of a shift of realizing where they'd outsourced their power and had sort of put that on external forces, whether it's a religious structure or another person. And what it then looked like for them to sort of realize that had happened and to then claim back that power for themselves and trust their own voice and intuition and gut and go forward from there. And I think that ties into a big part of why we even started this podcast, because I think one of the themes that, some of the maybe criticism we could get for starting podcasts is oh, what do you have to say? You're just
it's all being done, right?
Yeah, you're two random moms from the suburbs of Maple Ridge.
Not wrong.
And that's not wrong. 100% not wrong. But I think part of this was also a practice that for us we knew was something that meant it'll always mean way more to us personally than it probably ever will to anyone listening, but just the act of exercising your voice,
which is hard to find, right? It can be, especially if maybe you've been told that speaking up is not the right thing to do, and that's not what's good, you know, and that you just have to, like what you said, outsource that to another person, to somebody that's on the platform, that's trusted, typically male, these things. Yeah, or when
you've self-censored for so long in order to fit an image, right, or fit a communal ideal, or fit someone else's sort of ideas about what it means to be someone.
Yeah.
And so in a way, speaking is kind of like the little, I don't know,
Act of
tapping
rebellion,
through
a
that.
little.
Yeah, to be like, okay, we're smashing that.
We're
and
done
this
with
is,
it. Yeah.
this is who we are and what we have to say. And it also, I think, speaks to like, there's also another thing of like, people don't start podcasts unless they're an expert, or like
Right.
only experts are really worth listening to.
Right.
And I think I at least want to challenge that view, because I think we can learn from anyone in our everyday.
Yeah.
Like, and if we're listening and if we're, truly open and curious to people's stories, you can learn so much from people just around you,
Totally.
like wherever you are. And that's kind of what we got from our guests too, or just friends.
Definitely.
And people we know in our world who we both feel like we learned so many things from them.
Well, and change, like when you think of,
and just had great conversation. Was like so nourishing.
Yes.
And sort of like,
and building relationship with people. Like I feel like we left each of those conversations going like, oh, we have a deeper friendship with them, or maybe a new friendship,
or deeper understanding of like where they're coming from, what they do in life, and
that just, again, like with the division that's going on in the world, or just how challenging our world can be, like the more connected we can be to each other. And again, the more that we can speak and share perspective and reclaim, I mean, it sounds so dumb to say, but reclaim our power.
It does. It's one of those things that so sort of sounds so cliche and like, but
you hear it so much. And I think it's just used kind of out of context, like, whereas now you have to be the dominant one, instead of going like, wait, you can affect change in a peaceful, like just truth telling way, where you're going to not subscribe to a lie anymore. You're not going to just make people feel comfortable, and just by going along with it, you're going to say, well, no, I actually disagree with that, because my experience with that has been different.
Right.
And that's valid. And people, I mean, that's just information. The people on the other side of that shouldn't feel that they need to be defensive. And that's where I thought it was interesting, because sometimes using our voice felt disruptive to people. It felt dangerous at some time. And I'm like, that shouldn't be the case, because by speaking up and sharing life experience and sharing stories, I mean, this is literally people's lives here. Like, that shouldn't be a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when a system is threatened, or, you know, a way of having power be perceived in a certain way, like that, it's that thing that is threatened, instead of like person to person. Like, no, we can be curious, we can learn, we can be more connected to each other. And that's the bit where I think, yes, we need to keep exercising that and keep feeling like, okay, what does that actually mean to know somebody on a deeper level, and to hear from them, and to challenge your own way of being and thinking.
And I think to a degree it'll always be sort of uncomfortable to voice and a disagreeing thought,
but we need to get better at that.
Or an alternate perspective that it's easier to sort of just agree and go along. But like it does take a level of sort of self-trust as well, to be able to be like, to think independently, right? And to be able to think for yourself rather than...
it's like an esteem growing thing too, to go like, wait, I am valid in my thought, even if it's, and it's okay that I might have gotten it wrong.
I might be wrong, but I'm never going to know either unless I engage in dialogue, or just like flesh out ideas with people, and
even see how that feels like in your body. I think we kind of forget about that too. Like, you know, if you I think most people know that if they tell a lie, it feels a certain way in their body, and do that over time, and then you're completely disconnected from self. And I think likewise, like if I share something with you and we're talking and we get a gross feeling at the end, we're probably like, that's information for us to go like, wait, I didn't like how that felt. Like, let's course correct. Let's try something new on for size, because that was not the right path to go down. And that's brilliant. Like that, I think we've probably done that in the podcast, where we've like inched forward slowly and kind of gone like we were talking about, man, we used to talk about scripture so much more, or our relationship with God in season 1. And how that's naturally, I think, just through talking and expressing, that's shifted, because that no longer feels like the way, it doesn't feel right to us anymore, maybe.
Well, it's not really a like, you know,
It's not paramount, I guess.
No, it's not like a day-to-day thing that's sort of incorporated, for me at least, in the way that it once was.
Right.
So it naturally just doesn't really come out anymore. And also I don't consider myself to be a Christian anymore. I would probably say the closest word that resonates kind of is like agnostic, but
probably likewise.
But I still find a lot
open,
of
right.
I'm still so curious with like religion and the way that the things it teaches us, because it does have so much influence in society, like and just even in like the legal many layers of society. But
just like as we're thinking about heavier topics, like obviously this season was heavy, but I think some of the things that we're looking forward to season 3, which we hope to be a little bit quicker on the draw, like a bunch of more episodes sort of stacked together, and probably trying to delve into more serious topics even. But as we think about these things and think about the reality of the world we live in and how complex, I mean, right now it's really hard to think about, and that can be really depressing. I think that was, again, I did like the feedback we got from some people that were sort of saying like, why bother? Why have these discussions? Like, why, like, for what reason would you have a podcast? Like, this is just sort of,
what are you saying?
Yeah. Like, what do you, like, and but and a lot. But no,
get to it.
Yeah. Kind of like what's the point? Like, just, we all know we're depressed. We all know that this is like, life is hard. Like, let's not worry about it. And
there's a lot. Yeah.
It can be a lot to confront, right? Because it can be really jarring to kind of, you feel really hopeless as well.
Right.
And I do like the thought, or the saying is like, the opposite of depression is not joy, but it's expression.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's like a huge point towards like, be creative, do creative problem solving, talk with people, express, get it out. And again, that's what we want to advocate for. And we want to be, I think, just to a certain degree, be leaders in, like, lead by example, to go like, anybody on here could think that we're idiots for, even the fact that we're not the most articulate folk or whatever, but it's still like, I hope it gets us all thinking. I hope it gets us all thinking about ways that we can be more creative in our life, or ways that we can take risk or be more brave. And I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely.
And not always finger pointing. I mean, the one thing I'd said to Micah too was, there's this funny Harry Potter line, which for any millennial that got into Harry Potter, he says to, bear with me, he says to Professor Slughorn, he's like, be brave, Professor, because this truth that he was trying to get the professor to speak about had the potential to alter the course of whether they could take down a great evil. And a lot of times, like, the evil out there is being pointed as a scapegoat. Like, I can't believe Trump is the president.
We separate it from us.
Yes, exactly.
It's like an external thing.
Issues in Iran, is this and this. And his big thing was trying to help this person look inward and to be brave about their own complicit behavior, and the fact that they had a part to play in putting this evil person in power, right? And
in the position that he was in.
And I think it's funny because the professor said something like, to admit this would be the end of me. Like, there was so much shame involved. And I think that's just another reminder for each of us, like, when we look at the guests that were brave, to look at how they're a part of the problem, the fact that they were not defined by their victimhood, the fact that they were brave in sharing their stories, that to me is huge. And I think that that's what we keep wanting to create space for in this world, is to be brave, to tell the truth, to show and stop pointing at like systems that are all bad and people that are all bad. Although we do that, it's the self-reflection, to not go inward and become depressed, but to go inward and express how we could be a part of the change, how we can dream new dreams, and how we can take our power back and not just become hopeless, but we can go in every small bit, whether it's using your voice or doing something else in life, doing a career change, studying something of interest, that's a huge way that you can actually change this world, that it doesn't just happen in heaven or that it all gets fixed when we all die, but actually we're living now and we can be a part of like huge change, huge creativity.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think part of the story we've lived as well is just like, and what we would hopefully be able to encourage through this podcast is, just like the honesty to be human, right? And like we understand the nuance too that like, not everyone can say their stories or share because they might not be, it might not be safe or whatever. And we understand that as well. But just like, I think wanting to send this overall message of like, we're in this together and we're not, whatever, situation you're in, despite the fact that you may feel alone in it. I would want to send an encouraging message that like, I know for a fact that you're not. And sometimes being able to find those people that will help you feel not alone is a matter of just speaking up or reaching out to one person.
Just even telling the simple truth of what is in your life. Right. I think even of our connection, like we wouldn't have found each other and the bond that we have and the place like in creating this space if we hadn't just shared the truth of what was actually going on in both of our lives. Yeah. And then that's how you find the people that you're supposed to be around. Right. Like, that's how you create good and healthy community is by being authentically who you are and not being afraid to confront all of those bad parts of yourself.
Right. And maybe we can do that as our next episode. We didn't really get to it today, but we wanted to kind of go over a bit of like our relationship journey since starting the podcast. And I think that would be a fun topic because we haven't always got it right either. Yeah. And it's been a journey for us too, like doing this and getting to know each other like while recording conversations. Kind of fun. Yeah. So it'd be fun to reflect on that a little and pick it apart with honesty like next time or something. Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here again. It's always great for us to have opportunity to kind of think through what we're experiencing. And we're so grateful that there are listeners on the other end. And for season 3, we hope to get a little bit more in the weeds on some specific bad topics and potentially ways that people feel really shitty. So
and our DMs are always we're so interested in I don't know, thoughts you have to contribute to conversations or just ideas for episodes, anything. But
we appreciate you guys, and until next time, see you in season 3. Bye.